I guess it's okay because Fred would be saying some people weren't, but you pump the oil up the attic? I mean, I'm just curious.
This is just it. I was caught off guard by the question. That's not
I don't know. Outside, you fill it like from something up in the air, so it goes into a tank. Then somehow you have to get the oil into the attic. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not an oil man, but you'll pump it up the same way. If you think about the heating system in a home, and if you have the heating system in the bedroom and in the basement, excuse me, and you had a 4 or 5 zone heating systems, which would be very common in larger homes, those pumps that are attached to the boiler that aren't any bigger than probably 2 fists.
No, I understand those.
They pump that up, so I assume, to answer your question, but I'm not an expert, the pump for the oil would be the same thing. And it's much less force needed because it's going through a copper tube that's diameter is less than
you can use a gravity system.
Right, any code violations with a tank in the first floor in the living area under the steel?
No code issues. But the idea of pumping oil from the first floor to the attic would be breaking new ground in the HVAC area. I think they should explore propane. What I didn't want to see is the oil tank sitting out adjacent to the house at a later date.
We're not adverse to exploring propane, and if that would work, we're not adverse to assuming the water table would allow us to putting the tank in a grate, which is done fairly often now with propane. So not adverse to it. That's what the board wants, or the building official wants.
I have a hard time putting into use the letter from Michael Gray. I guess there's a concern, but he's not saying don't do it.
Exactly.
Is OWTS, that's the new name for ISDS?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. There's not much help.
Yeah.
Ready for this?
No, Mr. Chairman, we asked for your attention. I know there's a name or two here from my mom.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Thank you.
Did you do the rest of this time?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, subject to any further report on that. I have a letter, excuse me, that my client just gave me, if I can just, from abutters, William and Genevieve Dyer, who would support the application. If you wouldn't mind marking that as an exhibit also, Mr. Chairman, that's not too much trouble. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry I didn't hand that up to you. My clients have reached out to all of the neighbors in an effort to explain what they were doing and review all of the plans with me prior to this evening's hearing.
These are all copies?
Yes, sir.
I just have one. Just one copy, some other copy.
We sent a letter to all of the neighbors on January 23rd, giving them information about the plan a month ago and inviting them to offer any comments to my client in advance of the hearing. He also has discussed this plan and this proposal for some time with some neighbors before moving forward with it.
I'm going to take comments from anyone who would like to speak in favor of the application. And this letter happens to be in favor, so I'll just read this from William Dyer, and he supports the application. So if anyone else wishes to speak in favor, support, come on up. We have to be sworn in.
Alan. M-C-K-I-B-B-E-N. I think in favor with some reservations would be the way I'd like to
think this is the best solution for a bad situation. In effect, Mike and Terry are clearly trying to do something that's going to complement the neighborhood. And we've talked with them about their plan, and they've evidenced a willingness to try and accommodate our concerns. We live at lot 168, which is just north, and we own lot 161, which is just west of this property, so we abut this property on two sides. I had talked to them about the location of the house on the lot, and I did not hear about this 20-foot deed restriction. I'd like some time to investigate what that is. But my request is that the house not be placed 10 feet from our property line, but that it take place 10 feet from southbound, as opposed to the other way around. And I think right now, if that deed restriction was common in Monica Park, that means that every house in there that was built in that era is in violation of the deed restriction, but I don't know what that is. In terms of my other specific reservations, the letter from Michael Gray addresses our septic and well situation. Right now, our well and our septic are about 50 feet apart. They're both quite old, they've been around a long time, and they're both probably going to have to be fixed and changed. I anticipate that our septic would move to the south at such time as we have to make that change. And we'd like to get it in conservation, or we'd like to be within a 100-foot distance from our well. And if we do that, then we're going to be within 8 feet or so of the full well on this site. We own, as I say, that adjacent property to the west of this one, and the combined two properties is over 40,000 square feet, so we'd be exempt from the high ordinance, and we'd be qualified to put in a conventional system if the groundwater or the soil testing and so forth allowed for that. So we'd like an opportunity to get the necessary samples and design and so forth and find out whether we have that option. I think it's entirely possible that our soil would accommodate a conventional system. Probably very few people know that we actually have a cellar. It's a dirt floor root cellar, probably about 8 feet deep, and we never experienced any water there, so I'm really confident that it's a good drainage. So I'd like to request to continue to give us an opportunity to find out what's possible for our septic.
Well, let me say that something to that. Normally, you don't grant that type of continuance. And you had noticed, you had the opportunity to object and bring counsel and do some of these tests beforehand. So, to my knowledge, we've never granted that type of relief to the objector. And it would be on your burden to proceed with that. As an opportunity. You had notice of this application to seek expert advice on these various issues. And I certainly understand what you'd be concerned about, but it's kind of a late date to be raising them.
Well, I guess my question would be, when did you become aware of this, we'll call it issue? When did you become aware of this, we'll call it issue?
Of the for quite some time. The last applicant, our old, had the same configuration.
So I'm just taking on the point made before. I mean, it's been a long time that we're trying to look into it.
Well, what the implication is that then we're going to be precluded from taking property action for our septic right down the road if you grant this.
Well, it's not uncommon for someone to build on a lot and have a well in their septic system in a particular location. If they just are there first, that's a problem that the neighbor has. I mean, that's